You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a StarCitizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, StarCitizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and/or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radagast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, StarCitizen podcast. I'm your host, Sulyce, and on today's episode 128, we explore the Nyx System's arrival to the PTU Wave 1 testers. We're going to go through its lore through the brand new Traveler's Guide to the Galaxy. We're also going to break down the countdown to IAE 2955, highlights, insights from the October monthly report, and we're going to unpack the latest Roadmap Roundup that came out November 5th. Plus, we're going to go through the StarCitizen World Tour 2026, some updates on the RSI Launcher 2.10, I think is the number we're on, and we're going to go over the November subscriber promotion. So everything you need to stay current in the verse. Welcome in, everybody. I hope this finds you well. This is the first episode since Halloween, so I really hope everybody had a great holiday, or at least a great weekend, whether you celebrate it or not. I had a great time. It was awesome being a pirate. My son was an inflatable parrot. My daughter was an era of Taylor Swift. My wife was an ailer. What is that? My wife was an era of Taylor Swift. We had some friends come up. We had family come up from Houston, Texas. Just had a really, really good time. And then, of course, the day after, let me know if this is also you and your family and friends. The day after, Halloween decorations come down, and what goes right up? Right? Christmas trees, Christmas lights. Forget Thanksgiving. We are already in that Christmas mood. Or we can say Luminalia. Actually, we can't say Luminalia because everybody is ecstatic about both Nyx and IAE coming up. So I can't wait to get into some of that with you today. Let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Some housekeeping, right? Before we move on. Housekeeping for the Beyond the Verse podcast. Know that we are still doing our philanthropy, our gift giving to Extra Life. It's in need, children in need for their children's hospitals. All the money is 100% passed through. It doesn't even touch our organization. It goes straight through Extra Life. But if you're wanting to give, again, to children in need across the world, this is a great organization to do so. And you can do it through beyondtheversehq.com/give. Let's talk next week. So again, every Friday morning at 5 a.m., I try my best to record. Next week is going to be pure chaos. I'm going to be in Seattle, Washington, kind of doing this, but for my actual 9-to-5 job. So everybody knows I work for Amazon, but there's this massive convention that is happening that yours truly gets to speak in front of everybody on stage. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But I will be engaged in all of that next week. Now, my flight comes back Thursday night, so I will definitely miss my org night with Soul Provision. But recording Friday morning is a maybe. So there we go. You know firsthand before it even gets announced next week. I might or might not be recording episode 129 next week. All right, I think that covers all the news. A little bit of congratulations. So I've been a YouTube partner for a very long time, but we just unlocked channel support, right? There's going to be additional support. It does not impact you if you are a YouTube premium member. You still get ad-free viewing and engagement into this episode or into this podcast in the channel. But ads will be turned on with that YouTube algorithm. Again, for us to build that community and to recruit in extra giveaways, developers, engineers, celebrities around the gaming community. This just unlocks that potential. So if you're familiar with the YouTube partnership program, if you're familiar with basic content creation in general, this is a great thing that I'm going to capitalize on for your sake, to bring you the best product as a viewer, as a listener. At any point, it becomes burden. At any point, it becomes just ludicrous and crazy. I will override it for the sake of y'all's engagement and happiness, right? Like, I 100% promise you that. So my goal is to not inundate you with all the nonsense that you could care less about, but really just drive some of that, let's see here, monetization that'll help with the production value of the show. So heads up there, things might look a little different, but it's the same old Sulyce and it's the same old Beyond the Verse. All right, enough of that. Let's actually get into the news for this week. And in doing so, let's go straight to This Week in StarCitizen. Hello, everyone. The Frontier Fighters finale event continues as Amelia Boyd, the leader of the dangerous Frontier Fighters, has been spotted in Stanton. In response, Citizens for Prosperity and Headhunters have mobilized, aiming to take down Boyd and her forces once and for all. Operations now focus on disabling the enemy's ability to regen by destroying medgel recharge stations and intercepting key targets along flight routes. Enlist now and read our FAQ for the latest mission updates to help slow the Frontier Fighters' redeployment. The Day of the Vara 2955 has come to an end, along with its 2 community contests. There was a pumpkin decorating contest and a horror story writing contest. Our team will now review your fantastic creations to attribute the last spooky rewards to the winners. Have a look at what's been brewing in the community hub. In the meantime, the Evocati group has begun testing on 2 new builds. The initial bug fixes and refinements are underway. Number 1, the tech preview engineering, and then number 2, the Alpha 440 PTU, which is expected to reach its public PTU later this week, which it did. It did yesterday, and we almost didn't have an org night because a lot of individuals wanted to go and test out Nyx. So more to come on my feedback there. On the community front, we also want to give a huge shout out to the TTO community for their recent 400 plus player event in Loreville. We love to see everyone come together and enjoy such unique moments while stress testing the server, which handled the massive player count impressively well. You can find the photo album and videos in our MVP section further down. Speaking of awesome events, signups for the Daymar Rally 2956 are open. Do you have what it takes to brave Daymar's challenging and rugged terrain in one of the toughest endurance races around? Gather your crew and sign up before the 3rd of January for a chance to prove your mettle. I will say the Daymar Rally is a lot of fun. If you like flying, maybe you've never raced before, but if you like flying and you want to get kind of some tips and tricks, or if you just want to go and actually participate, this is a great event. If you go in with 0 expectations of winning, which would be me, if I did this, you just really enjoy the moment, you enjoy the camaraderie. So I would encourage you to check that out, give it a look, and see if that scratches that flight itch of yours. All right, so the weekly community content schedule, we go straight to the bullet points. Again, Tuesday we had subscriber promotions. Wednesday we had the StarCitizen monthly report, which shout out to a couple of individuals that are super excited about ships that were mentioned. We'll get to that here in a second. Roadmap updates, which was very short, kind of irrelevant. And then on Thursday, we had the Frontier Fighters Finale Phase 3, the takedown. And then later today, we're going to get the weekly newsletter. So interesting to see what comes of that. Now, before we get into kind of the main meat and potatoes, right? Like the Nyx and the engineering testing, I want to talk about the Freedom Fighters finale just real quick. I don't have like a screen to show and nothing to share news-wise, but it's all out, all phases, right? So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, it's all there. In fact, actually, I will open up a page so you have something to look at other than my ugly mug. So here we go. We're going to go to, I should have already had this open, but I guess as I'm opening this up, there's a misperception or maybe a misunderstanding that you had to do all of phase 1 before you could do phase 2. You had to do all of phase 2 before you could do phase 3. And that's just simply not the case. Everything is unlocked for you right now, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up. It's kind of crazy if you think about it, because you could have not participated at all. Phase 3 drops and you can kind of do whatever the heck you want, which is great. That's awesome. Now, this goes until 4/4 drops. So there's an FAQ down here for dates. Here we go. Boom. The schedule for event. It just says that the takedown started yesterday, but it doesn't give us an end date, right? So what is takedown? Takedown is the hunt for the Plars. That's it. But it is a global event. So this is super, super easy to accomplish. You need 2,250 points, right, in order to complete phase 3. Every time you destroy the Polaris, that's 225 points. So my Texas A&M math kind of plays out to 10 kills, right? Yeah, I kill them 10 times. So I thought, wow, that's going to be... A Polaris is really hard to kill, or at least it's a very long time to kill. It's going to take a while, right? That was kind of my first impression. And then I got out there and I forgot that the Idris was launched, right? The Idris has launched. And so I got out there for the first time and there were 10. There were literally 10 Idrises firing their laser cannons on the Polaris. Guys, I got there and the moment I saw the Polaris, it was dead. So less than 2-3 minutes and I already had 1 kill. I had finished all of the Citizens for Prosperity mission, or phase 3, in, I don't know, an hour 15 minutes, hour and a half. It was the easiest, quickest fight. And so that's going to be interesting for CIG to figure out. I don't know the solution there, but as they release the Idrises, the Krakens, the eventual Javelins, even some of these like Perseus, Polaris, when they release these massive ships with PDCs and the ability to, even with engineering, even when engineering is a thing, a Polaris only takes like 8 people to run. Right, an Idris this is off the top of the dome. I don't even know if this is right, but an Idris might take like 12 or 13 to run. It's something like that or close to it. That's pretty easy to manage. You could go to a Polaris fight with the PDCs turned on with 12 individuals and easily take down the Polaris. Now, it could outmaneuver you. It's going to be dangerous in that sense, but you and the Polaris are just going to be circling. Well, that's not going to be a worry, because you're going to have other players there as well. So I would personally prioritize phase 1, phase 2. Those are a lot more time intensive, because you actually have to go locations. You have to actually get out of your ship in FPS. Siege, you can hide an asteroid and do those missions out in space. And that's a pretty quick, execution. But for the most part, those will take you the majority of your time, and then just knock out this phase 3. And I'm going to tell you so bear with me here. I'm going to tell you a cheese method just because CIG needs to know about it and CIG needs to address it. But you don't even have to be present during phase 3 because it's a global event. You could literally just accept the 2 million UEC mission, just accept it in your mission contract, do other things. And because it's server bound, once it's complete in the server, you get credit for it. That's crap. All right. So CIG, fix that. Totally fix that. I wouldn't say that is I wouldn't say that that's cheating. It just is what it is. Like, and I understand why. Like, if you do all of the work and you get killed like halfway through the fight and you go all the way back to Orison's hospital and you don't get credit for anything because of your just geographical location, I can understand that frustration. I totally can. But there needs to be, like, World of Warcraft has this, Elder Scrolls Online has this. I'm pretty sure most MMOs have this, but you have to actually commit a certain amount of DPS, right? Either it's HPS for heals per second or DPS for damage per second. You have to actually contribute to the damage or the health of the raid boss in order for you to get loot. And I think that needs to be the case for this. Like you can't just sit out there in the asteroid field. You should not be able to just quantum out there and watch the fight happen and get credit. I'm a little I don't know. Clearly I'm a little salty about how some people are doing it, but it is what it is. Last night's Orgonite was a lot of fun. And the idea for last night's Orgonite was let's help out everybody in the org who might need some help catching up through phase 1 and phase 2. So we had 23, I think is what we maxed out at. We had 23 Soul Provision members. Literally, we went into a party, so we're all part of the same party, but we each took our individual missions. So if you think about it, we all, there were 23 missions at one time. You owned one that you were going to do yourself, and then you shared the rest. So we all had roughly 23 missions at any given moment. And as your buddies were turning them in, you were getting credit for those turn-ins. So you can argue exploit or not, but we didn't do anything against T&Cs, right? The terms and conditions, or TOS. But CIG does need to address it. They need to address the fact that if you don't go and actually commit impact on a mission, you should not be getting credit for it. All right, I said my piece. All right, here we go. All right, to what I think is the bread and butter of today's podcast. Nyx is available to play. Now, I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on this guy just so you all have something to view. Some pretty background stuff. All right. Nyx has been available in the Evocati build. We haven't been able to show you anything, but we've been able to speak to it. So since the last time we recorded up to today, we had some engineering. I'm pretty sure I talked to y'all already about engineering and the fact that you have to have a slot available in order to equip the fire extinguisher. Very annoying stuff. But overall, engineering was a great success. Nyx is something that I've been playing quite a lot of since the last time we recorded. And I just want to respond with general sentiment, and then I'll get into the news and kind of what we're expecting. So again, this is not crazy, news now, because wave 1 of the PTU testers have this in their hands. They played with it yesterday. So more than likely, this is something that you've already experienced yourself. But let me just say that CIG knocked the aesthetics of this system out of the ballpark. We saw it at CitizenCon Direct, but actually being in it and flying your ship around it, it is incredible. So if you like the asteroid belt around Yela, around Grimhex, if you enjoy that kind of very, very Space Odyssey type views, right? You're going to get all of that and more here in the Nyx system. As you see on the screen behind me, this is a stunning system. So I kind of want to walk through some of my experiences. I want to walk through the Evocati testing at the very least, and then get into some kind of next steps here. So not everything's out. Just a reminder, not everything in 4.4 or not everything in Nyx is going to be available in 4.4, right? There's no planets. All you have is Levski and the Glacian Belt. There's a couple of other POIs, and even the main mission, the ASD missions that we talked about at CitizenCon Direct, even those were not turned on during Evocati. But what was, beyond Levski, what was turned on was game loops we've missed, like delivery missions, some investigation missions. There is interstellar cargo, which is going to be a lot of fun for Soul Provision, who we love to base ourselves around logistics. So all those game loops have kind of returned, and it's good to see those back. They have confirmed that the delivery missions will also be turned back on for Stanton. So if you just want that chilled game loop of being that UPS driver, or maybe not a UPS driver, maybe it's more like an Amazon, an Amazon delivery driver, right? Smaller container. Anyways, regardless, it's coming back. You're going to be able to do it, which is awesome for me because I like that chilled kind of time to kill. What is interesting and what is so fun about this, though, is the first mission I took in the Evocati was an investigation mission. It took me from Levski out to the Glacian Belt, so really in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by asteroids. This is where I recognized like Nyx is going to be a phenomenal mining system. So if you are a miner, you're going to live in this space. But having the red systems like scattered throughout in the distance, knowing that those are Vanduul systems, there was something very eerie about that. It actually moved me when I was gaming, right? So I came up to a derelict, like a derelict site. It was a crashed, ship. I was trying to find a body, right? So I got out. I had to EVA out of my ship. So that's already creepy as it is, right? EVAing out of your ship, going through kind of dead space, trying to find a dead body. And like as I'm going towards this derelict site and this dead body to get close enough to tap F to turn in my mission, I turn around to go back. And as I'm turning around to go back, like very close, relative, right? It's all relative, but really close to me was like that red system in the distance. And just, I don't know, knowing that the Vanduul were there and knowing that the Vanduul are coming to Nyx was just a really awesome moment. I had to just kind of sit there, right? This sounds dramatic. Some of you that are listening are like, oh, Sulyce, like, get over it. It's a video game. You have to understand that this is why I game. I don't game so I could hit some meta, build or rotation in a World of Warcraft or an Elder Scrolls Online DPS rotation. Like I don't do that. It's not what drives me to play. I'm capable, right? We've talked about this before, but I would much rather just lay back with a bourbon in one hand, if I could, a cigar in the other hand, while playing this game and doing chilled things. I do it for the lore. I do it for those moments, right? The music. Pedro killed the music in this patch, right? In this system. But just being engaged and immersed. That's why I play this game. And I would argue that most of you that are listening are playing this game for the same reason. It's not really like a DPS sweaty game at this current moment. But it's those moments that they nailed. They nailed. Walking around Levski for the first time since, it was originally out, brought back memories, right? Seeing the statues and the little plushies laying at the feet of the statues. The elevators, right? So by the way, just a heads up, there's no button to push on the elevators. People were freaking the F out. They're like, how do I use the elevators? Think of it as a vertical train. It's going to show up when it shows up and the doors are going to automatically open. You get in and you wait for your turn. People were freaking out, right? So elevators, that was fun. But it was ominous. It felt like I was watching an episode of The Expanse, right? Having the light come through the windows and then being able to look out the windows and seeing what you're seeing on the screen behind me. Just absolutely stunning. So without further ado, my initial reactions, let's actually get into the patch notes. All right. So for the patch notes, excuse me, we now have another number in our mesh configuration. How kind of cool is that? So the mesh configuration, that's 6 DGSs in Stanton, 2 DGSs in Pyro, and 2 DGSs in Nyx. And DGS is a dynamic game server. So you've got 622 with a max player count per server or per shard at 600. So that's how you read the mesh configuration line, right? This is only for Wave 1 at this current moment, and know that they're testing Nyx, Levski, and Delamar, interstellar hauling, external freight elevators, and the ballistic missile launcher, the Boom Tube. Again, the Boom Tube is freaking hilarious. Like, enjoy it. Go out there and play with it. It is. It's absolutely a joy to get into. External freight elevators. We might have talked about this the last episode. I'm trying to remember when we last talked about this. So everybody's asking, like, what does that mean for piracy? How difficult is it going to be to turn in items, right? If the freight elevators are now exposed to other players, and Nyx doesn't have the armistice, zone as other places do. Is this just going to be a piracy haven, right? Are pirates just going to have their way at these external freight elevators? And the answer is yeah, probably, right? Like, yeah, piracy is a thing. Like, and we should not have a negative opinion about piracy. We can argue all day long what the difference is between piracy and griefing, but actual piracy, you should be protecting your shit. If you have a whole sea and you're by yourself, there's a penalty to that. Yeah, there is a penalty to that. If you want to brave, taking a C2 full of, thousands and thousands of items of cargo, and you want to try to offload that yourself in a known pirate haven, that's on you. And the pirates have at it. This is the extra level of difficulty and awareness that I actually want in StarCitizen. I want us to be checking our corners. I want us to be checking behind us. I want us to be thinking through if it is the most advantageous drop off to go to Nyx and drop off items at Levski or any of these other locations on Nyx or around Nyx, then I need to make sure that I'm planning the entire operation to accommodate that. This idea that the solo player is going to get butthurt because they went to Pyro of all places to try to do things, and then they get ganked at the first location they go to. Welcome to Pyro. What did you expect? Pyro is known as a lawless system, right? Nyx isn't necessarily lawless. We've talked about it being a Wild West. Think Red Dead Redemption. Think kind of like country sheriff. Like there will be factions that will protect their own. So there might be penalty to piracy in Nyx. But again, if you are a solo cargo hauler, beware. Like tactically and strategically, be aware of your surroundings. It's going to be hard, and it should be hard. This game should not be easy to make billions of UEC. It should be difficult, especially if you can craft and buy your own ships in the future. These things should be difficult. I would even venture as far to say mining in Nyx should be difficult. If you're going out there solo to mine in the Glacian Belt, good luck against the Vandal. I think there should be a sorties of Vandal that just patrol the asteroid field. And again, if you're alone and unafraid, good luck to you. But you might get bombarded, right? You might get 3 or 4 Vandal on you, and you should have known better. I'm just saying, the most advantageous places around the verse should be the most difficult for us to get credit. Right? All right. I said my piece. There's your patch notes. That's live right now. Go have fun. All right. I thought this was super, super interesting. We have the Traveler's Guide to Nyx. This is the first, or at least in my extensive experience with the game, this is the first time I've seen a Traveler's Guide. So we'll see if this sticks. We'll see if this sticks for Castra, if this sticks for Terra, the next 2 systems coming out. We'll see. But I actually like this. It's kind of fun. It takes, it's like a preview. It's a preview channel because clearly Nyx is not fully out yet. But it does give us a nice, like, official landing page for all things that is Nyx. So here we go. Welcome to another, this is another edition of Traveler's Guide to the Galaxy. So maybe this existed for Pyro, maybe for other systems. I just have not seen it. But according to this literal first sentence, it looks like it has existed before. All right, back to the article. These dispatches aim to provide early insights into the lore and design shaping new locations coming to the StarCitizen universe. This time, we venture to Nyx, the 3rd star system to join the verse, coming in Alpha 4.4. Again, if you're a first-time listener, brand new to StarCitizen, we have started out in the system called Stanton. Last December, they released Pyro, and then now we're talking Nyx. So there's your 3 systems. All right. Note, in this edition, we'll be sharing a glimpse of what's on the horizon for Alpha 4.4, as well as looking further ahead at content planned for future updates. Please note that anything beyond Alpha 4.4 is subject to change as development continues. Guys, they have to say that. They have to say that because they need to be able to pivot if needed. So roger that. All right, here we go. I'm just going to go picture to picture. These aren't clickable. I can't make these any larger, so bear with me. Look at the screen behind me. But as you travel toward the primary landing zone, your path will take you through the Glacium Ring. Here we go. Glacium Ring. Stunning, gorgeous. Think the yellow asteroid belt. But if you can believe it or not, even more stunning, even more amazing. And I know this is 2025, like in real life. It's 2025. The technology has become a lot more sophisticated, but the diversity of asteroids in the asteroid belt matters to me. I didn't see copies and pastes. I didn't see rows of the same asteroids. I noticed those details. I truly do. You do too. This is very impressive, right? It's very dynamic. All right. The Glacium Ring, or Nyx Belt Alpha, is a dense asteroid belt located between the second and third planets in the Nyx System. All right. This belt is home to many old and decommissioned structures, like the breaker stations, and more left behind by QV Planet Services. Guys, the ADS missions, the missions that will take us into Nyx, will take us to each one of these stations, right? They aren't there, or at least I never came across them in Evocati. So they might be in the Wave 1 PTU, might not, don't know. But at least when I was testing, they weren't there yet. But the missions will take us to these locations. All right, for years, miners from throughout the verse traveled to the ring to make their fortunes. The largest object in the belt is called Delamar, an enormous asteroid and home to the famous mining facility Levski. So you're going to hear both used kind of in conjunction. They're kind of similes, if you will. Delamar is Levski, Levski is Delamar. Delamar is the asteroid. Levski is the actual structure that's built into Delamar. One and the same, guys. One and the same. All right, here's Levski, home to a lot of people coming from the OG StarCitizen verse, right? So this is a return home. So settlement. The system's primary settlement, Levski, is built into a large asteroid within the Glacium Ring. Once a mining facility, Levski has evolved into a refuge for those seeking life beyond. I didn't give them permission to use beyond. What? Come on now. For those seeking life beyond the tightening grip of the United Empire of Earth. Today it stands as a symbol of independence and resistance, a place where ideals of freedom and self-governance endure. Tucked away on the rugged terrain of Delamar lies Levski, a fascinating independent settlement with a story as bold as its founders. This off-the-grid haven was established in standard Earth year 2655 within the bones of a long-abandoned QV Planet Services mining facility. Named after the 19th century Earth revolutionary, Levski was founded by the People's Alliance, a group of political dissenters who envisioned a society free from tyranny. During the oppressive Messer era, the settlement became a beacon for refugees fleeing Earth, Sol 3, and a sanctuary for those escaping unjust government persecution. While Levski prides itself in the egalitarian ideals, its remote location and anti-establishment roots have also made it a magnet for less savory visitors. Pirates, hint, hint, nod, nod, homage to the pirates that are out there in the verse. Pirates, smugglers, outlaws have all passed through its corridors. Despite this, the People's Alliance continues to stand firm, defending their vision and freedom and community. The Tanaka Memorial, guys, this is really cool. If you go to the Tanaka Memorial, there will be players that are leaving little plushies, right? The little storm walls, the Pico the Penguins. They're putting little like loveys, if you will, underneath or in front of this memorial. Really kind of cool community, push. All right, the Tanaka Memorial. The entrance of Levski is dominated by a statue of an unnamed worker holding the lifeless body of Anthony Tanaka, a child laborer who was executed by an advocacy agent in 2757 for refusing to continue work after a 16-hour shift at a munitions factory. Footage of the murder was smuggled out of the factory and it became a symbol of resistance to the growing members of the anti-Messer movement. The Tanaka Memorial stands as a solemn reminder to the People's Alliance to never return to the UEE. Each year on December 3rd, this is new to lore, so heads up, new to the lore. Each year on December 3rd, Anthony Tanaka Remembrance Day honors the child whose act of defiance became a rallying cry across the empire. Mercy Hospital, Levski's primary medical hub, offers emergency care and advanced treatment to travelers and locals alike. Find everything from everyday supplies to rare and exotic goods at the Grand Barter. Haggling is expected, and the atmosphere is as much a draw as the wares. The bazaar is also home to the iconic Café Musain. Excuse me. The People's Alliance, stronger together. A faction originally formed by people fleeing the unjust Messer regime, they founded a utopian colony in a ready-made station on an asteroid in the Nyx System. In spite of the challenges of living in an airless rock, their settlement Levski endures to this day. The People's Alliance of Levski are dedicated to the creation and continual development of a truly egalitarian community where all may feel safe and free to express ideas while supporting each other towards the communal goal of enlightened self-sufficiency. However, there are those who seek to take advantage of the People's Alliance's lofty goals for their own selfish gain. A taste of Delamar. I'm not going to go through necessarily all of this, guys, right? So there's some neat stuff to go explore. So there's notably Nyx's, right? The Jinx Gen, the Tries Sling. So just more drinks. It's like more lore to go explore. I always say Radagast, like at the beginning of this podcast, there's a whiskey, the Radagast Rye. That's aboard like 890 jumps. It's also on the 600i bar area. It's on the Phoenix Emerald bar area. Well, here is where some of these drinks are from. So pretty cool. All right, a glimpse ahead. This should be a review, a reminder of what was talked about at the CitizenCon Direct. Okay, so new locations will arrive in the future. Near future is what they say. Trademark. Breaker stations. All right, so here's some breaker stations. They talked about like this massive mining. It's going to break rock, and once the rock gets broken, you fly into it. So there's missions and things that can happen at breaker stations. Municipal works, right? Here's some images of municipal works. Again, more of a, I'm not going to call it a raid. I think maybe dungeon. Yeah, let's say dungeon from like World of Warcraft. And then here's your raids, right? How they ended the CitizenCon Direct the past couple of weeks, the tactical strike groups. Like this is going to be unlocked as well. This is going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait for this to happen, right? They did confirm that this was going to be instanced as well. I think tactical strike. So I know tactical strike groups will be instanced. Municipal works, if I'm not mistaken, will also be instanced. I'm very confident. I don't really recall, but I know TSGs will be. All right, and then perhaps maybe the most interesting piece here, or at least the most that's being talked about right now, are the 3 planets. Right? Some that are different from their original design. I know some people are a little like, upset about this. Like Nyx 1 was never supposed to be this beautiful, but here we are. So Nyx 1, a green yet uninhabitable world, undergoing an experimental transformation process. That sounds fun. Nyx 1 may soon have an atmosphere that will let everyone breathe free, while their quality of life would improve substantially if they relocated to an inhabitable planet. Some members of the People's Alliance are worried that access to an abundance of resources will undermine their collectivist values. Nyx 2. The air on Nyx 2 is sweltering, stifling, and extremely poisonous. Sounds fun. A smog planet located in the system's green band. It has been impossible to terraform due to technological limitations. However, the unpleasant nature of the world does have one benefit. There may still be an untapped wealth of resources waiting for those brave and industrious enough to claim for their own. I don't know why I see Nyx 2 and I immediately think like No Man's Sky. I feel like there are a lot of planets in No Man's Sky that are kind of green smog planets, right? Kind of this cloudy, hazy, like poisonous environment. At least when I play No Man's Sky, I'm inundated with this kind of planet. Moving on, Nyx 3. The furthest planet from the star at the center of the Nyx system, Nyx 3 is an ice giant with a stormy atmosphere. Not a lot of other details. So with this being an ice giant, think of like kind of a gaseous planet like Crusader. It'll be interesting to see like how this planet, I mean, it could very easily be turned into like a Yella, just literally an ice rock. But with this having a stormy atmosphere, it's going to have more on the planet, let's say in the planet because it's gaseous. There'll be more in the planet than I would say Crusader. In an atmosphere, so it's more than just a rock like Yella. More to learn about Nyx 3. There's a lot of questions that I personally have for Nyx 3. So this is Nyx. Guys, I'm super excited. I'm super excited about what Nyx brings. It's more to explore. I think it's going to scratch that itch for people who want to leave Stanton, which isn't necessarily like lawful. Like there's still plenty of piracy opportunities and and that kind of, experiences in Stanton. But people that want to necessarily leave there, but they don't want to go as far as Pyro in the opposite direction, right? Where Pyro is just literally you can do anything you want to and not have any repercussions. I feel like Nyx is that middle ground, or at least it tries to be. It wants to be the middle ground when it grows up. How's that? Right? It'll be interesting to see how the People's Alliance, how some of these other factions, like how does it govern? Does it govern like the UEE? Do they step in and, create bounties on people? Like, I think there is much to be discovered, right? All right, we've talked about Nyx a lot. So let's kind of segue out of Nyx. Go in, explore it, have a good time. Just know it's more than likely going to be hitting the live PU in the next couple of days. And I say that like a week to 2 weeks. I kind of want to voice my prediction. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that 4.4 drops next week. Truly. I think it has the potential of dropping next week. It'll have the hidden patch of IAE already embedded in it. So then when the next week comes and it's IAE, they'll just flip a switch and it'll be live. I don't think there's going to be a 4.4.1. I truly don't. I think that's too soon. It'll be a 4.4 drop, then a couple days later 4.4.1. I've been wrong before, but I think it'll be one patch to rule them all. And that'll take us into December. And I highly suspect we'll have like a 4.4.1 at some point in December, whether it's a patch or whether it's an additional content or story driven patch. So for what that is worth, IAE. All right. This, guys, watch the screen behind me. What is that ship? Welcome to the Perseus. The Perseus has several. I mean, you're seeing it right now on the screen. There's Idrises, there are Polarises, but this is mainly featuring the Perseus. So the Perseus is going to be not a 4.4 ship. It's going to be an IAE ship. Truly, there you go. Boom, Perseus right behind me. This is a stunning ship. It is absolutely stunning. We have really no more details in this release to really break it down and talk about it. Just think a really sexier, like think Hammerhead, not Polaris. Polaris is massive. It's huge. This is about the size of a Hammerhead. So kind of maybe like shrink your expectations on a size, but it looks great. It looks like a shrunken down Polaris, in my opinion. Right, not necessarily like a Hammerhead. All right, so what is IAE? IAE is the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. Every year, Historically has been in Microtech. This usually doesn't rotate, but we are in Crusader this year, of all places. And Crusader, when I first started playing this many years ago, ILW was in Crusader, and I had to learn the transportation systems in Orison, and it sucked. It sucked. So if there is a free fly for IAE 2955, good luck. Good luck. But the advice I will tell you is read your airport signage. So whenever you log into the game and you're like, man, what is this place? Orison looks crazy. Just read your airport signage. There are signs everywhere, just like we call them airport signages. Like that's an actual phrase. Like you would go to an airport and know like where your flight is and where you're going. Just pay attention to the signs and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be able to get to where you want to be. IAE is fun. Every ship will be available to fly. That is available to fly. Every ship will be available to fly during this time. So if you ever wanted to try the 600i, you'll be able to rent and fly the 600i, both modules, the exploration and the touring. So this is the time to get out and try these ships. And unlike ILW, which ILW is just the military ships, IAE is every ship, no matter the classification. So literally, if it's flyable, you get to fly it. My question sort of, I don't know, I'm kind of curious about like the Idris, because the Idris is a limited hull ship. Will we be able to rent, like if you don't have the Idris already, will you be able to rent and fly the Idris? I'm trying to remember, like for the 890 jump, I think you can rent the 890 jump, and that's a limited hull ship. So you should be able to rent the Idris. I don't know. I actually don't know. We will find out here in a couple of days. All right. And how many days, Sulyce? Weird that you would ask me that right whenever I was about to tell you. 13 days, 5 hours, and 7 minutes. Expand your universe. Here we go. So this event is in 13 days from now. Here's the schedule. So we're going to start off with RSI, which I feel like we always do. That makes sense because the Perseus is going to be on display. So this will more than likely be in the the convention center, which, by the way, in Crusader, you're going to get on the train and the train will take you to a third platform. So beyond, like, let's say CloudView. Does CloudView? I think that's a different system. But anyways, there's like a platform. There's a platform for like all of your shopping. There's a platform. Actually, it's a fourth platform. You have the spaceport platform, the shopping platform, and like your residence hospital platform. So those three. There'll be a fourth one that's introduced that'll take you to the expo platform. And that's how you're going to get to this location. So there you go. Sign up now. Go ahead and click on this button to get the email updates. But this report or this article was mainly to tease out the Perseus is here. We are getting the Perseus. Get excited. The days remaining, so 13 from here, less than 2 weeks, and then the schedule. So I'm curious, what is your favorite day of IAE going to be? What day? Right? More than likely, everybody's going to say RSI because you're going to be able to get out and fly the Perseus. All right. So with news like this, with landing pages like this, comes a Spectrum post. Spectrum is like straight to the point. A lot of data here. So here's your links to click on. Here's some images you can save and download. If this is the color scheme of the best in show, right? Usually the color scheme of IAE is the best in show paints. Damn it. I will more than likely buy this. Black and gold is like, I mean, it's very concierge, right? So if you're a concierge member, most of our paints are black, gold, dark gray. So I'm very curious if this is hinting at the color scheme that we're going to be getting. So there you go. Okay, let's keep moving. We have been here for a little bit now. Let's see here. We've been here for 48 minutes, 49 minutes. So let's keep going. With the rest of this, we are going to cover everything. Like, it's fine. We're going to cover each topic, but we're going to move a little bit quicker. So when I pull up the StarCitizen monthly report, usually I would go line by line and read all of this. Guys, I'm just going to go straight down to the ships. I normally read everything. Everything is super important, but I think what kind of gets everybody's blood boiling and interest is this art ships, right? So we learn about what's coming out and what hit the white box, gray box. So here we go. In the UK, the ship's team supported the release of the Anvil Paladin, the Asperia Stinger, and the Grey's Market Shiv at CitizenCon Direct. Work on the Aegis Hammerhead and RSI Aurora continued to bring them up to modern standards, so gold passes. For the Hammerhead, design are currently... I will never be able to get over this. It's my own hang up, guys. I'm not saying right, wrong, indifferent. Design is singular, but they're using R. I know design is a team. A team is multiple people, so that's why they're using R. But like, it should be the design team is. The design team is working on, not the design team are. Ugh. If you say the design team members are currently... All right, I'm done. All right, so for the Hammerhead design, good Lord, designer currently setting up the revisions, including the addition of blast doors throughout the corridors and updated component placement. The Aurora is currently awaiting downstream support, particularly for audio and visual effects. As these feature some of the oldest in-game assets, no freaking joke. Guys, it might be kind of fun to jump into the verse, get a hold of an Aurora, and just, I don't know, be nostalgic. It's archaic, guys. Like, it's relatively archaic. Doesn't make sense. Why would you ever own one? You can't really take a box or a cargo mission and deliver it through this little hole. It's very difficult. It is a horrible, horrible ship to start out with. So I hope the reworks the shit out of it. All right, the Hull B. I'm very excited about the Hull B. I don't know why. It's probably just going to be another like Hull A, Hull C baby. There we go. The Hull B is currently being prepared for its white box review, with the final touches being made to ensure it hits the required functionality criteria. Sorry, guys. Both Drake Ironclad models and the command module progressed well into gray box, with geometry and lighting updates to the modular kits helping set the interior tone throughout. So we're getting closer. This might be a 2026 ship. Well, it's not going to be a 2025 ship, but it might be 2026. So Ironclad and the command module. Again, first time listeners, the command module is the idea that you can move this between the Ironclad and the Caterpillar. So you should be able to control both, right, ships by just flying your command module and attaching yourself to the Ironclad. You fly the Ironclad somewhere, you detach, go back to your Caterpillar, pick up the Caterpillar, fly it somewhere. So the actual ship is the command module, and what you're flying, think of it as like a huge cargo thing that you're attached to, the Ironclad and the Caterpillar. So a very interesting change of the game. All right, 4 unannounced ships progress through October. We already have those leaks. We know what they are. You won't hear it here. Go to a leaker to find out. The first is on track for its final review in early November, while the second is art complete and currently with the downstream teams. The third, an upcoming variant, passed the level of detail 0, LODO, but level of detail 0 review. Following this, the downstream teams began their tasks ahead of its final review. Art was also completed for an all-new ship before it continued down the pipeline, with paints being created alongside a full pass from Q&A, quality assurance. Another new vehicle, the Grey Cat UTV, which was briefly shown during the introduction of the STV, entered its white box phase. And here we go. Listen. Finally, for the UK team, pre-production kicked off for the Anvil Liberator. Boom. This phase is before official production begins and aims to get a solid base for the wider team to use for further estimation and concept requests to aid in smoother delivery. The Liberator is one of those ships that the community is itching for. I'll show y'all what it is here in a second. All right, the North American team progressed with 2 unannounced vehicles. One is currently with downstream teams for a closeout ahead of its final review. while the second is approaching its gray box review in early November. Elsewhere, the RSI Perseus had a large-scale developer and QA playtest this month to check its robustness and intent in combat, which was a great success. White box work continued on the Drake Kraken, with more developers moving on to it as other projects were complete. All right, what is the Liberator, you ask? Man, you guys are just on top of this. Thank you for asking that question. I'm going to the ships page now. I'm going to pull up the actual page. So there's no guessing. There's no boom. It's a $575 ship. Good God. All right, here we go. The Liberator from Anvil Aerospace. Here we go. Anvil continues its tradition of excellence with the Liberator, an open air vehicle carrier that applies the tradition of long range transport to a smaller scale. Designed with the same quantum drive and long distance capabilities of military spec carriers and pathfinders, but tailored to the civilian market, the Liberator puts your fleet on the front lines of any operation. I have always said that this ship depends on the success of the Kraken, and the Kraken depends on the success of the Liberator. Like, you can't really have one without the other. This is think about what comes with this. We're going to call it a hangar, like a landing pad. I know those are wrong words to be using, but you need to be able to fly onto this and be able to do repairs. I'm assuming able to do repairs, able to refuel, or otherwise what's the point? What's the point of the Liberator? So I think that technology, and they mentioned it at CitizenCon in the direct, of being able to fly into an Idris, land in the Idris, and actually use that as a landing pad. My assumption is that you're going to be able to do all this on a Liberator. Of course, a smaller scale than a Kraken. Of course, a smaller scale than the Idris. But the Idris isn't really a Kraken. It's not a transport carrier like the Kraken will be. So you've got like the Kraken, then maybe the Idris, and then maybe the Liberator. But it's this idea of taking ships to the fight, right? You can see in these images, you've got plenty of space to put tanks and ground vehicles. And then above, you've got some arrows, looks like small vehicle landing pads. This is going to be a force multiplier for org play. And so $575 at this current moment. If I click on view offers, it's probably going to be in packages. Yeah, it's in the $48,000 Legatus package. So right now in this moment, you can get this $575 ship for $48,000. Stand by. In IAE, you're going to be able to actually get the ship alone. Like, just heads up. Don't want to scare anybody. All right, so there we go. So there is your monthly report, very trimmed down to just the ships. Here's your Roadmap Roundup, which is even shorter. So the release view for 440, you got new Wicklow ship offerings, which includes now the Meteor, the Guardian MX, and I think it's just those two, Meteor and the Guardian MX. And then you got the Max Ox Neutron Cannon art refactors. Wow, that's a mouthful. Right. And then the exterior freight elevators, right? All of these cards being now included in 440. Let's just keep going. This is low hanging fruit, guys. StarCitizen World Tour. If you are wanting to include your community in your area, now's your chance to get on CIG's radar to their 2026 schedule of StarCitizen World Tours. So it has directions on how to do it and how to submit. If you're not comfortable with posting things publicly, you can directly message CIG members. But again, if you're wanting to push your community, your area towards having a StarCitizen, now's the time to do it. It's in Spectrum under announcements in StarCitizen World Tour 2026. Let's keep going. We're kicking ass. RSI Launcher 210 release notes. Guys, if you've played since, I don't know, yesterday or day before, this has automatically been updated, but just a heads up. The RSI Launcher 210 now includes a free fly, allows users with no game package to access the game during free fly from the launcher. Warning and agreement improvement to be specific per channel. Star Engine logo on the loader and in the settings about section. Clickable path in game settings give you a straight access to your game folder. Boom. Things that you don't necessarily think about or need to know. let's keep moving on. Subscriber promotions. I'm kind of done going through, like, I used to push this up in the segments where it was like one of the first things we talked about. Guys, if you're a subscriber, you have it. If you don't, you can't see it. But here, I mean, I don't know. This to me, is it Orgrimmar? My mind is going blank, but World of Warcraft, the Horde's capital, Orgrimmar, right? Right? Because you have Stormwind is the Alliance and the Horde, I think is, anyways, this has like whatever that place is, vibes. Like, I would imagine this would be the throne, right? That the leader of the Horde, which I know has changed over many patches, would sit in. It's kind of a weird thing, weird connection I've got there. But yeah, so if you are a Centurion member, so the cheaper package of the subscriber, you're going to get this bonfire jacket, right? Just a cosmetic jacket, right? And then if you are an Imperator, you get this throne. So here's the jacket. Here's the throne, which the back of the throne looks interesting. It's very, what's the word? Eccentric. All right. And then if you wanted to buy both, so if you wanted to gift these out, if you're a content creator, wanted to, gift these, if you had a Centurion member who also wanted to get the throne, you can get the package for a little bit cheaper than buying both separately. So the jacket's $4, the throne is $7, and the package that I just mentioned is $9.35. We have 3 vehicles of the month, and it's the Guardian line. So we have the Mirai Guardian, the Mirai Guardian MX, and the Mirai Guardian QI. So there you go. The Centurion gets the Mirai Guardian, the Imperator gets the Guardian MX and the QI. So there is your subscriber promotions. What do you think about the promotions? I'm kind of done with them. Yay, we get stuff. Enjoy. All right. As we wrap up this episode, we always go to you, the listener, right? It is the first Thursday of November, so normally I would provide you with an update to the show, like October show review. I have not had time to do it. I've been preparing for next week's Amazon convention. So to be very fair, I haven't created it yet. Maybe next week, maybe the week after, I'll have something updated for you. But I always try to push the community, your voice. So let's end on this note. On last week's episode, we asked you what excites you most about the new engineering tech preview. 56.3% of you say all of it. You're excited about engineering, period. 25% of you say the crew roles and the co-op potential. And then 18.8% of you say damage control. So, and like 0% of you said power management, which, amen. I think that's the downside of engineering. I like engineering because it's going to make our bigger ships more relevant. Everybody flying a Polaris Solo or an Idris Solo is just, I don't know. Anyways, it goes back to my comments about the Frontier Fighters finale. Like those 10 Idrises attacking the Polaris, I doubt were fully staffed, right? Probably 1 or 2 people, if not soloed. And so there's a part of me that's like, I wish engineering was online, so it made that a little bit more harder to do, because right now big ships are kind of irrelevant, right, for you to have. All right, go to the comment section. Here we go. Open comments. We have 4 to get through, so kind of a light week. So here's Dreadfox. I love the MTC, handles well. Great for clearing PAF hangars to collect red and blue cards, and fits well in my tag. For sure doing the siege missions for the paint. As far as Frontier Fighters finale, it's okay. About 30% more grind per tier than it needs to be. They are fun to do together, and I like the ambush missions and the Paladin. Excited for Nyx. It will definitely be my home going forward. Yeah, how many of y'all are taking Nyx as your primary residence when 4.4 drops? I'm personally going to stay in Orison and then fly out to Nyx as soon as I can, just because of the congestion. I think with there literally being no planets, Levski is going to be bumping, and I kind of want to avoid that, quite honestly. Whack Attack writes, speaking of guessing ships, might I recommend Startle? Wordle, but for StarCitizen. It's a browser game where you can either guess ships from their characteristics or from a super zoomed in picture. It's the only way I know most of the ships in StarCitizen. Hella fun. I agree. I do agree. And the creator of that did an amazing job. I do like Startle. Absolutely. Billy the Beast writes, how did Fight Night go? Who won? Sounds a lot of fun. Did Flan win? off the top of my head, guys, I have nothing in front of me. I think Flan won. Groza won the first. Yeah, I think it was Flan, because Groza won the first handout or the first giveaway. And that was just anybody who was participating could roll, and Groza won the roll. But Flan was my other winner, and it's because he won the fight night. So there you go. Boom. I thought it was a shitload of fun. We took the Idris out in the middle of nowhere, fought it out. So much so that the Idris ran out of med gel. So do the math. We had a lot of death. And last but not least, Christian Oliver Quizmaholm writes, you mentioned a while back that you used to cover the game New World. I guess you heard it shutting down. Yeah, way to end the show on that note. Guys, listen, I left New World a long time ago, but I did so begrudgingly. Like, I love New World. New World was an amazing MMO. Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning. All the things like PAX Die, the idea, not necessarily building here, but like going out into the woods, cutting down trees, like New World got that right. I had fun fishing. I had fun doing all the things in New World. Crafting was fun in New World. Getting your bases or like your, communities together to have those fights, right? The actual like wars with other factions. I had a lot of fun in New World, and it's sad to see them. By the way, they said that they would not continue growing New World. I think they'll keep the lights on. I think it's in that phase of keeping the lights on, but we won't see anything new after this last patch. So it is a soft spot in my heart. It does make me a little on the sad side. So with that lovely news to end this up, again, if you want to know more about the Beyond the Verse podcast or Soul Provision, our in-game organization, you can do so at our websites, beyondtheversehq.com or soulprovision.com. You can participate in our philanthropy and give to Extra Life, to children's hospitals in need, by going to beyondtheversehq.com/give. You can also do so in the actual homepage itself. If you want to become part of the conversation, make sure you respond to the Spotify poll in the comment section. You can also email us at contact@beyondtheversehq.com as well. I hope this finds you well. We'll see about next week. I will try my best to record episode 129 next Friday. But again, stay tuned to the social medias, and I will let everybody know going into that. But safe travels as you traverse beyond this verse. Take care.